Welcome to the Kelowna Real Estate Podcast with your host, award-winning realtor Matt Glenn, and top-producing mortgage broker Taylor Atkinson. Professionals in the industry, enthusiastic entrepreneurs, and successful investors. When it comes to real estate, we're all in.
If you aren't embarrassed looking back at your first one, you waited too long to start. How do you feel about our first one?
I'm embarrassed about it.
Perfect. That means we got off to the right start.
Yeah. It was a quote we discussed earlier on about a year ago. And yeah, it did motivate me to just pull the trigger and get going on this thing.
I love it though, because now this is our 50th episode. 50. Like when Taylor and I started this, it was to do a year. This was our goal.
Yeah.
Right. And now we're here and loved every second of it. And it's awesome. Super embarrassed for the first.
You know, it's funny. Maybe like when we do our 100th, we'll be like, oh my God, our 50th was terrible. We're so embarrassed of that.
We need to work on the intros.
I mean, I think that's kind of the theme of goal planning, right? You're always making yourself better and evolving, and you look back and you're like, oh, only if I knew what I knew now, I potentially would have done things differently.
Imagine we took the route of not starting a podcast until we were good podcasters. Honestly, like think about that.
We still would not have started then.
Yeah, exactly. We'd never start.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't know. How do you get good at something by never doing it? So we just do it, getting better all the time.
Wow. Is that a Matt Glenn original quote? That's really good.
What did I say there?
How do you get good at something without actually doing it?
That is a Matt Glenn original.
Practice.
Yeah.
Practice. Yeah. So today, if you're listening, you're obviously listening, but we're making history right now. This is the 50th episode. We're a year into it. So our plan was to basically do one episode a week. We realize there's 52 weeks in the year, but
person needs a vacation.
Yeah.
And we both had babies. Like, come on.
Multiple babies now. Yeah. Well, I guess, we had ours before the first episode. But so today we kind of want to review a bit of a recap on the last year.
Yeah.
What we've achieved in podcasting and just in life in general.
Yeah.
What we're kind of aiming to do over the next year with this podcast and personal and business lives. We obviously bring on a lot of fantastic guests. We've been really happy with the traction that we've gotten. But, we just feel people want to hear more from us. So we wanted to just have a solo episode and
let our thoughts fly, which, could go either way.
Yeah. This will be our lowest downloaded episode ever. So to start out, like we said, started a year ago. We just kind of want to dive into it. We got a great response from a lot of guests that came on. We spoke about a bunch of different topics. We had some feedback from listeners who they wanted on, some good recommendations. So still would love.
And guests recommended it.
Yeah.
Other guests. Yeah.
So still would love to see your guys' input. Yeah. So one of the reasons why I think we started this podcast, not only to talk to great people and learn, but we wanted to provide an immense amount of value to listeners. We also both loved podcasts, right? Like we listened to a ton. Yeah, still do.
Yeah, I'm always listening to a podcast or a book.
Yeah. Tried to get on a couple, got on some. It didn't get any replies from, Bigger Pockets or some of the other ones I wanted to get on. And so we just thought, you know what, if no one else is going to have us on, we may as well just have ourselves on. So we had to create our own podcast. And that kind of comes down to the point of this show too, is a lot about goal planning. And like, if you want something, you can achieve it. As simple as it sounds, there's a lot of cliches out there. Put your mind to it, achieve whatever you want. And we did.
Yeah, there is a lot of cliches out there, but they're true, right? Like if you really want something, it doesn't matter what kind of obstacles stop in your way. You just plow them over and get through it, right? Like if you really want something, you can make it happen.
Well, you've been talking a lot recently about like the external, like the output that you have, like whatever you have control over.
Yeah, like
focus on
taking accountability for your own actions. So like there's Jocko Willink's book, Extreme Ownership, talks about this. You basically, to be crude about it, is like everything is your fault. So if you think about that, what's happening around you, what the market is doing, or what these wars going on, or whatever's happening, like what can I do to improve my life? It would be easy to sit and complain or blame external factors for everything. And like you can do that. In a lot of cases, you're probably right in blaming certain things. But at the end of the day, how does that help your life get ahead? Right. So if you just take accountability for everything and realize that you can only do what you can do, so you change the things on your end to make your life better, it's just way easier to live a more mentally balanced life and achieve your goals.
I'll paraphrase, and I'm going to ruin this, I think, but people have said in the past, there's two types of people. people that let life happen to them.
Yeah.
And then the other type is they make life happen for them. I think that's kind of the point is, you know, you could sit back and just write the narrative of, oh, this has happened to me and this has happened to me. And for sure, in certain cases, like there are some very difficult times that people go through, but the only things you can control are really what you should focus on.
Yeah. Even if it was yourself holding you back in the past, right? Like you could sit there and sulk about what you've done in the past and how much you're living with your own mistakes right now, but still you're living in the present. You have to do what you have to do to get ahead right now. And it's just the way you look at every issue, you know, and this is one of the things I'm going to work on this year is doing that more and more and more. Like I think last year, the real estate market, like we had literally had the least amount of sales in over 30 years. And we have way more population and way more realtors right now because we just came off a boom. I know it's been a super tough year for realtors, but like I'm super grateful. I've had the best year I've had in my career this year. And it's like kind of just one of those things where you just make the best of the situation and you realize like as an agent or whatever you do that you're not a statistic. You're not a percentage. You're just do the things that make it happen for you and you have to live with that.
You're a super optimistic guy as well. So I think it just like you attract that positivity. Help me out here. What's the quote? Like you're not lucky, you're creating opportunities. Like when people come up to you and they're like, oh, you're just really lucky because that client like fell into your lap. It's like, well, no, you're not.
But you have to put yourself in a position to be lucky.
Exactly. That's what I was looking for. Thank you. Wow, we're a good team.
Better at that.
Yeah. So I think that's a big part of it. So what goals do you have moving forward? Like you just had an amazing year, one of your best years ever. What are you trying to do in the next year?
One up it.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't think I'm going to Grant Cardone 10X it, but I am definitely going to.
Why not? We're just talking about, we're giving advice on like, you know.
Honestly, I don't know if that's a goal I even want.
Yeah.
You know, so like
a good answer.
Just reflecting on this last year, like my personal life is going super well. My business is going super well. Financials are going okay. They're doing pretty well, but I would like to start investing more.
Yeah.
So like maybe buy another rental or something this year, or at least put myself into a position to get to that. So there's that. Everything's going well. My fitness has fallen off a cliff. Thanks, Julian. But that is a goal that I got to get back on. And honestly, I'm going to be happier about it, but it's just something that I do now. So my goals, my business, I want to improve because like being an agent is awesome. I love every second of it, but it is like working 7 till 9 later at night. Like last night, I removed subjects on a deal at like 10:30 at night. So like it never stops. I'm happy with the level of business I'm at right now, but I want to increase it a bit.
Yeah. Not to focus on this too much. I know we've spoken about this in the past, but like you're reading Miracle Morning again.
Yeah.
Part of that is words of affirmation. And like when I first listened to that, like that comment, I'm like, okay, you're standing in a mirror being like, I am the best agent. And you're just like repeating these things about yourself. But if you dissect it a little bit further and look at kind of how you talk about being an agent, you're never talking about it negatively. You're like, I am working, you know, like I am doing that, but I'm loving it. I'm helping clients. Like you speak in a way that presents yourself as like convincing yourself that you are the best and you're providing the best service and et cetera. And then say on the fitness side, like I'll be more harsh about it, but it's like, I've sucked at working out recently and I've done this, where I guess if we could tweak the words to be like, I will focus on working out more. You know, like it's just a really small change, but I think moving forward, like that is an important part of the affirmation part of, instead of just, you know, saying those things that are so obvious and sitting in a mirror, what you communicate. And in your professional side of things, like as long as I've known you, you've always communicated that very well. There's always been like a positive affirmation. I'm doing a good job. Like even when times are tough, it's like I'm working, but I'm crushing it. You know? So I think that's an important thing to take forward.
Yeah, that is a good point. I guess my only comment is my fitness is I know why. I know like it's obvious that it has not been priority for me because of the results I have, right? If it was a priority, I would be jacked.
Yeah.
You know, so like I obviously had to put it up on my priorities and make it something that I do. Right. So like that is something I got to do. So in this year it's going down.
Well, and I think that's totally fair too. Like you adjust priorities.
Yeah, exactly.
I think you have certain life categories, fitness, wealth, family, etc., and you can't prioritize them all the same all the time. Like sometimes certain things have to take priority over the other.
What's that book where it talks about the balls in the air? What book is that?
I don't know.
But it talks about that exact thing as you can't have all the balls in the air at once. You can't be perfect at everything. Like you have to prioritize some things.
Yeah.
I think that things have been going well for me in lots of categories, but got to improve in others.
You need to reflect and figure out what you need to be better at and, how to achieve that. So for me, it was 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, read Vivid Vision, spoken about it before. That was kind of the catalyst to reset a lot of goal planning. So I have tons of goal planning resources. I was super enthusiastic about goal planning again the last couple of years. It's kind of taken a bit of hiatus just with family and talking about prioritizing. Yeah. If anybody does want any information on Vivid Vision, I've kind of summarized a 3-pager PDF that states, it's essentially just condensing the book into a real simple exercise. This is how I did it with a group of guys. This is what we suggested that really worked. So I'm happy to share that to anyone if they want.
Yours has been super, you were super specific.
Yeah.
To knock them down.
Yeah. So I'll review a couple right now. Okay. So the 3-pager kind of thing that I will share with you, just email admin@venturemortgages.com and one of my team members will email you back with this. I'll do you one even better. If you complete the Vivid Vision exercise and send it back to me, we can book a call and I'll share mine with you and you can share yours with me and we can kind of bounce some goal planning ideas off of each other.
Love it.
So yeah, admin@venturemortgages.com. It's basically, we did a 1-month exercise. Recommend obviously reading the book, but don't have to. The book suggests doing a 3-year time frame. We did 6 years in our group because it placed us at 40 years old and we thought a milestone would be kind of cool to do that. We all woke up an hour early every day for that month and worked on this. So it wasn't just we spent a couple hours on it. We literally spent 30 hours on it. You're trying to find just a place in your house or somewhere that you can just be hyper focused on it. We used 4 to 5 categories: health, wealth, relationships, personal growth, and cool, fun stuff. And week 1 was just kind of brainstorming, jotting down a lot of ideas, what we thought would be cool. Week 2 was we started to condense them. Week 3 was we decided what kind of format we wanted to communicate it in. So you could do a newspaper article, magazine. You're doing it as a third party, writing it about yourself. And then week 4, we did a nice kind of Canva template, made it professional in terms of us making it, but wanting to be proud of it so you could share it. And the other powerful thing with that is when you start sharing your goals with other people, like you said, you become accountable, but also people just generally want to help each other, right? Yeah, it's kind of human nature that if somebody shares their goal with you, Matt, says hey, I want to buy a rental property. Instantly, you're going to be yes, this is what I want to do. Same with fitness. If you're talking about fitness and people are interested in that, and that's one of their strengths, they're going to say, well, these are really good exercises, or this is a cool app, or this is a good book. It's just human nature to kind of want to share how to be better. So once you make something that you're really proud of and it's pretty ambitious and you start sharing it with people, naturally people will just attract to it and start helping you. So some of the goals, I wrote this 3 years ago, and I'll just review it quickly here.
So there's still 3 years left.
Yeah. So still have 3 years left, accomplished a lot in it so far. And again, if you guys write yours and want to share it, we'll jump on a call and review each other's. One of them, having 2 kids. 3 years ago, we had no kids. We're at 2. Some may say that's an easy goal. Some may say that's extremely difficult. Other ones about wealth, stated I want to buy a ski cabin at Big White, value somewhere in the $800,000 range and generates $50,000 of gross income. Really specific goals. Yeah, ticked that box a couple months ago, bought a place literally that fit that. And I didn't even really review this. You don't review these every week, maybe once or twice a year. And then giving back is a category. And this is a funny one. I haven't reviewed this in a while, but it was charitable contributions of over $5,000 annually. Yeah, this year is just under $7,000. And the funny thing about that is we did our Christmas fundraiser, which we fundraised $4,805. And then obviously I made some other contributions. But when you look back at that, it's you don't have to do these goals all by yourself. That was very easy to facilitate a group of friends. And I can't, take responsibility for all of that by saying, yes, I donated this, but collectively, you can achieve some of these things by other people helping you. So,
and I had a lot of fun doing that.
Yeah, tons of fun. Yeah, the shuffleboard tournament is out of control.
Yeah, 2 years in a row for you. I'm super proud of you for that one. That's awesome.
Yeah. So I don't want to just focus on just this, but there are a handful of books, resources, things you can do in life to just try and be a better person. But I think the simplistic view on it is write some goals down, share them with people, be accountable, and just, try and live an abundant lifestyle.
Yeah. Also, I think even if you think about making yourself better, you're already on the right track, right? If you're listening to a podcast like this or reading any kind of book like that, I think you're on the right track.
Yeah.
Action is where miracles happen here. But, being on the right mindset, you're not going to take the action if you're not thinking about it.
Yeah.
So I think that's key.
Yeah. Well, how to eat an elephant, a lot of small, but it's just, you do just need to take that first step, and it's about forming the right habits and routine and just consistency in that, right? If you're trying to say, hey, I want to wake up early 2 mornings out of the week, it's going to be much harder than doing it every day out of the week, right? You just need to start forming those good habits.
Yeah. One thing I've learned about getting up early with the Miracle Morning is weekends, when you sleep in on the weekends, it's kind of it just sets you back almost.
I know.
Right?
It's tough though, right? Because you need to reward yourself too.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I guess you just need to find ways how to reward yourself. I guess for that, if you want to keep the routine of waking up early, but you want to feel rejuvenated and rested, well, maybe wake up early and book a massage or go to yoga or do meditation.
The thing is, when you wake up early, obviously it can suck getting up early, but once you're up and doing things, it's not like you get up and you're done your workout at 6 a.m. You're like, well, this sucks. I wish I was sleeping the whole time. It is kind of a reward in itself.
Yeah.
Right. So you can do a reward, making yourself a nice coffee, which I do because I have a Breville and just do it right up after that.
Yeah.
So putting off the coffee until after. Yeah. That's been my reward for that.
Yeah. Well, and there's lead leg measures for that too, right? If getting up early is difficult, you got to think, okay, what can I do that would be easier? Just make life easy for yourself, right? It doesn't have to be hard. So what could you do to make life easier and would still kind of get the same result? Go to bed earlier.
Yeah.
Right? Most people are going to go to bed at the same time, but just set their alarm earlier. Well, if you want that sleep and you feel a little bit tired, really easy. You can control that, right? Oh, I'm just going to go to bed earlier and my alarm is going to be set earlier and done. So I think sometimes people overthink goals is, I want to buy this or I want to be healthier by doing this. With health, the simplest thing, if people can't make it to the gym, well, you can control what you're eating.
Yeah, exactly.
So there's a simple way to achieve these goals. I spoke about this on another podcast we were on recently, but asymmetric investments. What that means is the upside is bigger than the downside. And, the reference was about hiring an assistant for about 50 grand a year could be an upside of $1 million. Similar to buying a rental property, the downside, if you bought in the peak and you are net negative and you need to sell, yeah, you might lose 50 grand on that, but the upside could be exponentially larger. And full transparency, one of our purchases over the last couple of years was an Airbnb condo. And that's probably going to get absolutely crushed by this legislation that's coming out provincially. So we will lose money on that, but the upside that we've had with the rest of our portfolio kind of outweighs it.
How do you think you're going to lose money on that? Obviously the cash flow is not going to be the same, but are you going to rent it out or what are you going to do?
Yeah, it'll still be cash flow negative, even with a long-term tenant in there, and the value of it, I'm assuming, will go down. It already has gone down, right? So we bought in the peak. We've kind of analyzed it. Fortunately, we bought with partners, so there's some risk mitigation there. But at a high level, yeah, we probably are going to lose $30,000 to $50,000 on that because there's transaction costs, right?
What's your plan? Are you going to sell it or are you going to keep it?
Fortunately, our partners are awesome, so we're all kind of relaxed about it, but we have analyzed it and just said, okay, if we sold it at a loss and took the capital out and just threw it in, the S&P or something, 8%, we would make more money over a 20-year horizon than holding on to it at 20 years with appreciation at 3% and this rent roll and these expenses. So at today's decision making, it would be the smarter thing to do to take the loss, sell it, and reinvest that money elsewhere. We're going to hang on to it probably for another couple months. We do have a tenant in there and then kind of reassess. We want to see what happens. Obviously, the final word from the government. I think if you hold on to real estate long term, you'll always do well. It's just if you can afford to kind of weather the storm. But that's an asymmetric bet, right?
Yeah.
I've made dozens and dozens of those in real estate, and I've always been pretty successful. The other time was another joint venture on an Airbnb. Lost a little bit of money on that one. But I think to like, again, go back to simplifying things, is asymmetric bets can be as simple as buying a book for $25 that's going to better yourself. Like, sure,
I do this. Downside is you never read it, never open it.
Yeah.
That's $25 gone.
Yeah. Kind of need to whisper because I've got a stack of about a dozen books on my bedside.
I have Vivid Vision.
Yeah, there you go.
Ordered Vivid Vision, has not been opened yet.
Yeah. And Emily like commented, she's like, why are those books there? They're just collecting dust. I'm like,
no way.
Yeah, I know, but I just, I'm tired. You're running around with kids, just working, and that kind of goes to the side. But, you do pick up those books once in a while. And so for $25-$30 to have all those resources and all that knowledge there, it has changed my life, So as simple as a $20 investment.
Me too. Also, like to go on a bit of a tangent here. Jim Rohn says the 3 best things to pass on to your kids is your library, so your books, your photo albums. Obviously, we're not doing photo albums anymore, even though we probably should.
Yeah.
Because like we get a cyber attack, all our photos are gone. And then your journals. So you're journaling. So that's what Jim Rohn says. So you're on the right track.
I mean, I love Jim Rohn. One of my favorite quotes is from him as well. But maybe now, instead of passing on like all that stuff, we're just passing on podcasts. This stuff's going to be there forever.
So this has crossed my mind in a few ways. One is the AI revolution. Like you and I have enough words on the internet now that we could be taken over,
cloned and hacked.
Yeah, like honestly, probably in the year 2024, they'll be able to reproduce our podcast with our voices just by using historical.
Totally.
That's happening.
It's a little bit scary.
Yeah.
Should we be worried?
No,
I don't think anyone wants to impersonate us. But
I think we're super low on the totem pole. Yeah. Rising though, rising. But our kids, like if anything happened to us, they could have 50 plus episodes to listen to us.
Yeah.
Just talk about nothing.
Totally.
Real estate, our goals, our vision is for them. Like what actually got me thinking about this topic is when we had Carl Miller on. And unfortunately, he passed away.
Yeah.
Recorded the episode. He was a great guy. It was awesome talking to him. And we found out that he passed away just before the episode was going to be released.
Yeah. Literally hours before it was released.
And like, it was a huge shock to Taylor and I. But like, when I was looking at it, I was like, we're pretty grateful that we gave to his family an hour conversation talking about it. And he came off as a super inspiring guy in that thing.
Yeah. And I wish I could have met him because he came off so genuine and down to earth. And I think
we were going to meet him. I think we talked about it in the episode.
Yeah. And I think that's the one fun, powerful thing about podcasting is you get to communicate your personality and some transparency. Like there's, 50 plus hours of us just jabbering on the air. And if people have listened to that, I mean, outside of my wife, that I think she's listening most of the time.
She isn't.
I don't think most people have gotten to know me as well as like listeners on the podcast.
Yeah.
And I mean, so we're coming up the data. We obviously like have access to all the data, not who specifically is listening, but geographically where our listeners are based.
We know where you had dinner last night.
Yeah.
We know it.
So we're coming up on close to 10,000 downloads now over the last year, which is insane when you think about it. That's on average over 200 downloads an episode. Obviously, our first couple episodes
got like 9.
Yeah, exactly. And that was me just on all different accounts downloading them. No, I'm not that tech savvy. But we've gained like a lot of momentum.
Yeah.
And I would imagine by, this time next year, we'll be at 3, 4, or 5x that. So when you're thinking you're connecting with that many people, it's just a great way to kind of get to know people on such a busy life, right? We don't have the ability to connect to people as much as we would like.
Yeah.
In terms of like generating leads in a sales funnel from a business perspective, yeah, that's obviously on the back end and that we have started to see that, which is great.
Yeah.
But something that's been a little more powerful that I've seen is in the industry. Like I've had a couple files that like an appraiser was one where it was like a rush appraisal and we just needed a bit of help on it. And fortunately, like the appraiser that was listed was a fan of the podcast. So it just wasn't even like the credibility, but it was like, oh, hey, yeah, great. So you could relate to them a little bit.
Yeah.
And likewise, I had a lawyer reach out on a file that we were doing and it was super urgent, had to close that Friday and it just kind of like came across my desk super late. So everything like the instructions got sent really late. And on the phone call, I was like, yeah, I really appreciate you doing this. And they're like, yeah, we're, fan of the podcast, listen to it while I walk to work. I was like, this is incredible. Like, that puts me ahead of anybody else like is getting a favor. But if you're able to connect with people in any platform, obviously Guys like you are really good on social media.
That's a stretch.
Wow.
Yeah.
In comparison to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, the podcast has been a really powerful tool that way to.
Yeah, I've noticed it too. Like you get so many comments from people. Obviously, when you had the Kelowna real estate podcast, it's pretty niche. Like we're in a mid-sized city or small city, and it's real estate in the city. So like it's pretty niche. So most of the people I talk to in my day are real estate people in Kelowna. So yeah, a lot of people bring it up when I talk to them, and yeah, it's been awesome.
Yeah, how has this not been done before as the Kelowna Real Estate Podcast? Like, we're going to pat ourselves on the back and say, like, we saw an opportunity, fruit, capitalized.
Yeah, I know. Honestly, good timing for us. You know, maybe though they were just too embarrassed. You know, people are just think about it, just don't do it, put it off, or they just too embarrassed to start. Yeah. You know, like you and I just have no shame. We just went right in.
Well, I'm just hiding behind a microphone. Yeah. We're talking 10,000 downloads. If I had to do this in a room of 10,000 people, I would not be doing it.
You wouldn't? I'd drag your ass up there. We'd do it.
You'd be up there for sure. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'd be up there.
Yeah, I'd be in the background. Yeah, no, it's been a great year. Thank you for, joining me and
honestly, no, thank you, because you were actually amazingly good at, I don't know if you noticed this on the show, but I just start to trail off or ramble, and you were so good at cutting me in at the perfect spot. Like, thank you. I'm impressed, actually. That's been good from the start. So,
well, yeah, you've given me a lot of confidence to develop into I want to say a podcaster. I guess we're podcasters.
When you do 50 episodes, like, what's the stat that we heard? Who did we talk to that was like?
Yeah, I think it was like under 10 episodes or something. Like 95% of podcasts don't make it past the first 10.
There's first 18 or something.
Yeah. And we're terrible with stats, by the way.
But like the point is way past that, right?
Yeah.
And we're going strong. Going into the second year. What we've learned about podcasting is it's not as easy as it looks. There's a lot of time setting up, getting guests, organizing the guests and our schedules. Like you and I are both busy. Yeah. Our guests are always busy. Trying to find times that work for them is kind of harder than it sounds.
Yeah.
And then you have like the back end stuff. We changed producers, editors.
3 times. I mean, our first producer was great, but we needed something with a little more investment in us, and especially like the video content. You know, if you listen to the first episode, probably the audio quality was not that great. There was no video. The show notes were not good. Now, like, our show notes are dialed.
That's because we started out writing our own show notes.
Yeah. Even the titles, I just like wrote the name of somebody. Now the titles actually have a hook. Yeah. But yeah, our producer now is great. Like, our video
has been amazing. Yeah.
Our video content, I think, is pretty cool. We're getting some good
our video content's on the up. Like, it's getting better.
Yeah. So if you're not following us on Instagram, please do that. We will get it much better and more interesting content.
Yeah.
If you haven't liked on Spotify or Apple or whatever you're listening to, or leave us a review, it'd be super appreciative. We're only going to continue this, obviously, as long as we're enjoying it and are passionate and we're getting good feedback.
Yeah.
And we've seen that. And I think we need to really thank our wives as well. Because like you said, when you say 50 episodes, it seems like a lot, but it doesn't seem like a lot. 50 hours, but there's a ton of time and energy. And like you said, organizing.
I think it's 3 or 4 times as much
for sure.
Like recording time.
Yeah.
This is not even counting Nikki's time editing. But like, this is like just you and I time.
Yeah. And there's obviously a cost to it as well. Yeah. So as long as we're enjoying it and we continue to see our listener base grow and people commenting and engaging, that's all we can hope for. But yeah, a special shout out to Emily and Becca. I mean, they've very much supported this crazy idea, and they've been on the show multiple times. So yeah, couldn't have done it without them.
Yeah.
And obviously the listeners. So thank you guys for tuning in.
Thank you so much. Just getting started.
Yeah. So I think to kind of recap, if people have anything they want to talk to us about, if they have guests that they want to have on topics, we're open to anything. We have an ongoing list of guests that we have in the pipeline that have agreed to come on.
This is going to be a good year for that. For sure.
But yeah, if you have any suggestions, feel free to reach out. Like I said, email admin at Venture Mortgages. My kind of tool I've used, I've got a handful of them. Maybe I'll just get her to kind of do everything in one, 4 or 5 documents I can send out to people.
Yeah.
And happy to share, happy to try and add value in any way we can. So,
So 2023, year the podcast started, it's in the books. Now we're on to 2024.
Yeah. Right on. Well, look forward to another year of this relationship with you, man.
More episodes coming right up.
Okay.
Sweet, dude.
Thanks for listening to the Kelowna Real Estate Podcast. Be sure to reach out and let us know how else we can add value to your Kelowna real estate journey. please show some support by hitting the like, share, and subscribe button. This is sponsored by Matt Glenn Real Estate and Taylor at Venture Mortgages.